What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome in to another edition of MVP Sports Live. I am joined, as I always am, going to get to it early, by my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, how you doing on this wonderful Thursday, this throwback Thursday, as the kids call it, but I don't think we're throwing back anything now.
We're not really. I mean, no. I'm doing good, though.
I mean, you may be throwing it back to Hoodie Mellow with your look today. Going hood mode. Dave's like, yeah, whatever. But we got a jam-packed show talking a little bit of sports, but there's going to be a lot of substance today. If you're new to the show, we talk about everything going on in the sports world. And we got NBA and football on the docket today, mostly NBA. Like I said, we got a big topic planned for the middle of the show. Before we get into everything, though, let's get through the housekeeping nice and quick. Discord, if you're not in it, you're behind the eight ball. It's the greatest community in the entire universe. Conversations going on each and every day about all the sports that we love to talk about. You can get in on the Discord, link down below, or exclamation Discord into Twitch chat. Get you that link. If you would like to support us, you do not have to. I have to say that now. Contractually, you don't have to. But patreon.com/MVPvids is where you can go to help support us and get rewarded for supporting us, or you can throw us a sub on Twitch. Have Prime Gaming you haven't used yet? Throw it at us. Amazon gives it to you. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can get rewarded, like getting into those watch-alongs to talk to us in the voice channels as we're watching sports games each and every night. Last but not least, we're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids, but we are also on YouTube at MVP Sports as well, so follow and sub at both places to stay in tune to everything MVP. Dave, the first thing on the show today has to do with something we talked about yesterday, and that's Victor Oladipo and his future with the Rockets. Because yesterday, the Rockets got Karis LeVert in a trade with the Nets, and then immediately a part of that deal flipped him to Indy for Victor Oladipo. We talked about the fit with Oladipo in Houston yesterday and kind of what this means going forward. Well, today, resident blog boy, your favorite, Dave, living in that head rent-free, KOC, is floating out the rumors that Oladipo does not want to be in Houston and that he is still determined to get to Miami one way or another to play with Jimmy Butler and the Heat. Oladipo, a free agent, unrestricted at the end of the year. So, Dave, the question I'm going to ask you is Oladipo already playing the hand with the Rockets to where they are going to have to flip him this season for something else in order to not risk just losing him for nothing at the end of the year?
Can I just ask, like, contractually, is there a window where that can happen if he plays a game with the Rockets?
So I believe from everything I looked at today, yet again, a lot of people online were saying 2K is not the NBA. But right. The consensus is that I think it's 60 days until you can be traded. There's kind of because there is a recently traded restriction, but of course the NBA website didn't have that. They just had recently signed or signed and trade. But the consensus on Reddit and everything is 60 days from what I found.
No, they're 60 days before the NBA traded line.
That's the thing. I think it's early to mid-March, so it's either no or cutting it very close. To where if he could be traded.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, we don't actually know the second half of the season schedule yet, so I don't know if we knew the date or the trade deadline yet.
Yeah, I know they announced the trade deadline. Let's see. Trade deadline 2021, March 25th. Yep, so...
And how many days between January 13th and March 25th?
We'll do it right now. So 7, 14, 21, 28... 35 multiples, man. 42. 50.
It's 70 days.
42. Yeah, so it's less than 60. Basically, he can be traded right before. Jake, math live on the show is hard. We've proved that before. But Dave, do you think that the Rockets need to now
that
flip
I know
him?
he can be traded? Yes, I will say that they could trade him again. I think this Rockets team. Yeah, Google. That's seriously the answer to all of fucking life's problems. I'm not, no sarcasm, just it is. I do think that they could trade him again. I don't think it's a permanent solution. I think it's very much a let's see what the fit is on the team right now. He'd love to keep an all-star caliber talent like Victor Oladipo moving forward, obviously. But if they could flip him for something in the lines of Tyler Hero, who knows? Why not? Why not? Apparently, Tyler Hero, like you can't get James Harden for Tyler Hero, but you could get, Victor Oladipo for Tyler. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I think the problem lied with the contract that James Harden's $41 million. Victor Oladipo obviously up for much less. So you wouldn't have quite the same issues. Duncan Robinson, potentially, but again, is he really? $18 million seems crazy. He'll get the money because Davis Bertans got his money this past offseason, I should say. I still wouldn't do Victor Oladipo for that and filler. I don't know. That's just me. I would rather have the money and be able to do something for agency this year. There's not special names out there, but I'd rather have the money to play with. The whole deal behind this James Harden thing and why all these trades culminated was it got Houston underneath the cap. They are not under the salary tax issue anymore. They're free of that. This is, remember, a terrible owner. So we have terrible ownership, and we are being cheap. That is the plan. If we're not going to compete and go balls deep with, Chris Paul, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Clint Capella, yada, 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 those teams, they're clearly we're not paying for shit then. So I do find it interesting to see the potential to trade Victor Oladipo rather than sign him long-term, because again, if the owner doesn't think they're going to compete, then why pay salary tax for it?
Yeah, and I mean, the thing too is I'm trying to work out a deal I
should say luxury tax, sorry.
If Tyler Hero is involved, and that's the thing with the Heat, I will say, if the Rockets trade Oladipo, let's say the Rockets are what they should be doing. Hey, get Oladipo out there with the team. Maybe he's playing with John Wall and Boogie, and he kind of then sees we could win here. Let's be honest.
Can win games.
And the thing that we talk about all the time, I know there's some people in the Discord that have even said that they don't really believe that this plays a huge factor, but for some guys it does. Houston doesn't have to deal with something where, let's say he was in Chicago or still in Indiana, where it's Indiana or Miami, where do you want to play year round? Some guys just hate the fucking cold. Some people, it doesn't fucking matter to them. But I mean, Houston doesn't have to deal with that. Houston's beautiful. I know they just got snow a little while ago, but wham.
It's no Miami. It's a great place, but it's no Miami as far as being a millionaire and where you're going to spend your free time.
The point is, besides the whole taxes thing that, and I don't even know if Texas is like Florida.
Does not. They are like Florida.
Okay. But so you don't have to deal with that. The only thing to me then is who's going to win. And if you're winning in Houston, you're going to be happy in Houston. That's the thing. Houston just needs to show Victor Oladipo, we can win with this core, with you and John Wall and Boogie and the future plan that we have. Christian Wood on this team. I always forget to mention him.
20 and 10.
It's not that I forget he's there. It's just I need to give him more respect.
Boogie's averaging 8 minutes a night because he gets thrown out of games.
Yeah. I need to mention Christian Wood more.
Fucking who?
But I mean, that's the thing. They have a team there where it's they have a future plan. They have the GM in place that has a plan to where it's all you got to do is convince that we can win with you.
Not saying there's a lot of confidence in that plan or in the man behind the plan who owns the team and the new coach. But look, I think that the Vic reading of, reading the tea leaves and saying he wants to go to Miami. So, he wanted to go to Miami in the first place. So it's not really a stretch to say he wants to go play in Miami with Jimmy Butler. They seem to have a great connection. They share a similar work ethic. And I think that there's a lot of mutual respect there. Now, do I think that he's going to do anything to sacrifice his time? No. He played the right move and went I'm going to do everything I can to win games in Indy while I'm in Indy. He played out. He had no problem this year to start the year. So I don't think there's any issue with him quitting on Houston the same way James Harden did. So before people start freaking out and saying he's going to pull that fucking card, A, you're not good enough to do that shit. B, it would be uncharacteristic. So I'm not really worried about Victor Oladipo trying to pull a move like that. So for me, it's just like, yes, this team in the Western Conference is still a playoff team with Victor Oladipo in, because with James Harden not giving a shit, they were still a playoff team. So it's it'll work out well for them, I think.
And the thing that I'm working on right now, and let me see if this works before I throw it in there. Damn. The money's about the same. I don't know why it's not failing. Here's the thing. Trade NBA sucks right now because like James Harden is still on the Rockets on their website. So I've had to use ESPN's trade machine because they have, the updated rosters. And the one thing I was thinking of and what I was just trying to work out is basically a situation where, let's say it is I know you say I don't think Vic's going to play a power play. Like, hey, trade me because I'm walking at the end of the year. He may. That's the thing. How badly does he want to be in Miami? Or is he going to come in with an open mind, which many people would think, all right, that's what you should do. Come in with an open mind. If you don't like it at the end of the year, you can always walk. That's always an option because you're an unrestricted free agent. But if he's hell-bent on getting to Miami this year, which, let's be honest, if the Heat continue to play like they have this year, which has not been as great as we thought they were, as I thought they were. I thought they'd be playing better to start. I know this is also a weird season where they've even got guys right now out because of the health and safety protocol.
Played half the season. I think the majority of their talent, like Bam's missed games, Tyler's missed games. Everybody on the team has missed games.
Yeah, they got short free agency too for them.
I'm not taking a shot at if this is a good or bad team. This is a team that had the least amount of rest in the NBA, tied with LeBron James. The only difference is LeBron James is a goddamn machine who never quits. So you can't quit off season like LeBron James. I think Miami is just in that point where it's like, hey, we're tired. It will take us some time. Don't worry, there's a break coming for the NBA. They'll get their legs under them by the second half of the season.
Yeah, and the thing that I do think of is, let's say he is hell-bent. What is a team that could trade for Victor Oladipo? What's a team?
Only Miami, apparently.
Well, is there another team? I'm thinking a playoff team that is fine.
He said he wants to be in Miami, so fuck everyone else.
See, no, but I don't believe that. I think that there might be a team out there that goes, you know what? We know he's gone at the end of the year. I still want to take a flyer on him because I think he can help us in the playoffs. That's the thing. Do you think that he'll be Vic will be able to do that? Or is it going to be a kind of toxic thing where it's I don't want to add him because all he's going to be worried about is next season and he will end up not helping us in the playoffs. I think there might be a team out there that's on the other side of fuck, we can give up this player. We can give up a little bit of you're not going to give up a ton of draft assets, but fuck it, one future pick that's protected in order to get Victor Oladipo to try to put us over the first. I wouldn't do that. Bulls aren't a playoff team though. That's the thing.
Are we with Victor Oladipo?
No, we're not. I don't think so. I don't
I absolutely.
I'm talking about playoff teams that are thriving for a championship to try to put them over the level. A team that I thought of is, do you think? And yet again, probably doesn't happen because of the player I put in here, the young player I put in here. Maybe the value's off in general, but the Denver Nuggets. Being okay, we'll give you Gary Harris. So it's a player that the Rockets have control of. I know there's questions with Gary Harris, and we've talked about them on the show with his
numerous
play
times,
where he was better in the past than he is now. The one that I have, and yet again, I don't think the second player is in the deal, but Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, Victor Oladipo, and then a Kmart Jr. would have to be thrown in to make the contract work.
Kmart Jr.
He's the lowest salary.
Can't won't do it. No deal.
Oh, that's the linchpin, Dave. I thought RJ would be the linchpin.
Can't do it. Won't do it.
The Nuggets giving up RJ, I thought was
gotta stay.
Yeah, I mean that's just the.
I feel like I feel like the Nuggets are the fucking Celtics of every other year. They've got assets. They'll never fucking use them. It's so frustrating, and I feel like I'm gonna scream it from the sky.
You mean the Rockets? Because you said the Nets.
Nuggets. I said the Nuggets.
Okay, the Nuggets. Okay. I thought I heard Nets. That's why I was
I said Nets,
asking.
then I corrected myself and said Nuggets.
Okay. So the Nuggets are like the Celtics of the West.
As far as having assets and never fucking using them.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They're not the same team. They're not even in the same fucking category as talent is concerned. But they do have a gross, overwhelming amount of assets that are respected amongst the league. And it seems like they're never going to pull the trigger on something. They let 2 guys walk this offseason. And I think everybody understands that, we're all looking at Jeremy Grant and going, was he worth $20 million a year? Maybe. Maybe he was. Plumlee as a backup center for you guys, was he worth the money that he got? As a backup, no, but to keep your team at the top of the West, maybe it should have been something you considered. Maybe you should have worked on that a little bit. I don't think anybody thought that Harris would shoot like literally 12% from 3 to start the year. There are some things that could not be foreseen, but things weren't trending in a great direction for several of their guys. And we know that the front office demanded to see MPJ get the minutes, and we found out, well, that doesn't really help them win games. Turns out MPJ can be a great scorer, 1 out of X nights, but the rest of the time he's costing your team wins. So he's just not quite there yet. Grant didn't want to be in Denver, JD. Grant didn't want to be the 4th fucking buck. He doesn't want to be the 4th guy in line to get his. And I think he's proving this year to start at least. And again, it's a tiny sample size, so we'll extrapolate a little bit here. But, if you look at how his play style is working over for Detroit, without a fucking point guard, may I add.
He's playing very well.
He's playing quite well. And I think that had he been a second option or a third option trading off with Murray, I think that they would have done really well for themselves. But that's not the case. And I don't want to sit here and pitch back on, what they could have done. I want to say going forward, yes, they have multiple guys. They've got a ton of great depth. And great depth is great for the regular season. You know what wins in the playoffs? Stars.
Yeah.
Victor Oladipo could be a star again. So how about you fucking shell out and go pay for a star if you want to win a championship? Because you're not going to win one with Jokic and Murray as your only tandem. Sorry, that's the truth.
So I'm going to ask you this. I've got a trade here. If you're the Nuggets, do you do this? Because I think if you're the Rockets, you do this. Rockets give up Oladipo and PJ Tucker to the Nuggets.
Great pickup for the Nuggets.
They get back, and then the Rockets get back Gary Harris, Zeke Naji, and MPJ. The question is, do you put MPJ in there or do you put RJ in there? Both work. Which one are the Nuggets
MPJ
more willing
has
to?
more value.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If I'm the Rockets, I want MPJ, not RJ Hampton.
I agree. RJ Hampton would be basically the same tier as Zeke Naji. Like they're interchangeable, I think, to most people. So I think as far as flat value, MPJ, Victor Oladipo, Vic's worth more, but also Vic being the 1-year deal, that might balance it closer. And then the other 2 guys are for contract balancing. Yeah, I would pull the trigger on that. I would 100% pull the trigger on that if I was the Denver Nuggets and I want to try to win a championship this year.
The only other one I'm thinking, because that's the thing for me, like the Nuggets, I feel like, and you make a good point comparing them to the Celtics, because how many times, whether it's a Otto, like I've thrown them in the Otto Porter Jr. discussions when we've had that in the Discord. Like there are many times where I'm like, oh, the Denver Nuggets should go ahead and do this in a trade, and then they don't do it in a trade.
We've praised them for their development. They've done a great job with player development. They've had a ton of good talents grow up through this team. Even like Monte Morris, the guy off the bench who is just a phenomenal assist to turnover ratio, one of the best in the NBA, one of the best point guards coming off the bench, got his bag this past off season. But we've praised them for their slow and continuous player development, and that's why we like them. But at some point, I think everybody just gets frustrated and is like, why can't we fucking win? We can't win because we don't have another star on this team. Jamal Murray was special. But even that, you needed a third piece out there in order to overcome the Western Conference. And I think if you added someone of Vic's caliber, that would well make up for any shortcomings of the depth on that team.
Yeah. The only other team that I'm thinking about, and yet again, trade NBA, I wish you were up to date because ESPN's fucking trade machine sucks. And I can't turn off restrictions. The last one I'll throw out before we move on is the Clippers.
Sure.
A possible If they wanted to get back PJ in this because of who they're giving up, like a Lou Will, Marooks Morris, and like maybe one of their young guys, like a Cobb and Jelly or something, that's like a $2 million deal. Yet again, can't tell if it works or not for sure because ESPN won't let me turn off the restrictions. But like, if the Clippers could make it work, should they be a team that goes for Vic to add? But then you have Kawhi, PG, Vic, Pat Bev for defense, and then Luke Kennard on the bench or off the bench.
That is no return for Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, I mean the Denver one's better because you're getting either MPJ or RJ. More so, MPJ. But Dave, the spicy thing I wanted to get into is the NBA as a whole. James Harden was the trade name that everyone was talking about. Yep. When is James Harden going to get traded? When is James Harden going to get traded? Now we're kind of in all right, who's the next guy? I know a lot of people will want to throw out the first name that I'm just going to mention, get it out the way, even though we've been talking about him for a while too. So we've gotten some names listed. We're going to kind of go through whether or not some of these guys, some are up at the end of the year. There's a couple guys that either have 2 years, 3 years left on their contract. The first one we are going to do is Bradley Beal, because I feel like everyone's just going to turn from James Harden, Dave, and go right back to where we used to be. Bradley Beal being traded.
Bradley Beal on a bad Washington team. Wow, that story's changed in the last year.
Yet again, like, this is something to where everyone else is like, hey, when are you going to trade him? And Washington goes, yeah, not right now. We're not doing it. Like, does this eventually change, or do you believe Washington when they say, no, we're keeping Bradley Beal, we're building around him?
Dude. I think that Washington is going to do what's best for Washington, and there's no way they're going to get fair value for Bradley Beal. If James Harden got 4 first-rounders, 4 swaps, and a young star, effectively, in Karras, or a potential star in Karras, Bradley Beal is worth just about, I would knock off, just about as much. I would probably knock off, it might be 3 and 3 instead of 4 and 4. He's on a better contract, and he is younger. He is a phenomenal scorer, and he comes with way less of a fucking headache. So I think Beal can kind of jump on that standard, and Washington can be like, if you want him, it's going to take 3 firsts, 3 swaps, and young talent coming back to us. They have a point guard in Russell Westbrook who everybody fucking hates, except his teammates, because he's apparently a good guy. Good locker room guy.
It's okay to be a good teammate, but be hated by the majority of fans. Like, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm cool with him. I will continue to be a Russ defender. I never really had a problem with him. I understand people get mad because of his play style and the lack of results at the end of the day. But some players don't play winning basketball, and that's, you just have to accept that. He's very fun to watch. He's very good at what he does, but at the end of the day, it's not going to help you out too much in the win and loss category when you have a head coach who has the melon the size of a fucking peanut. Scotty Brooks is the problem here in Washington. If we're being honest, people, don't trade Bradley Beal. Fire Scott Brooks.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I do not think Bradley Beal gets traded anytime soon. I don't even think he's on the market. The only thing I can think of, and this is me looking down the line, if Bradley Beal is going to be traded, it'll have to be maybe 2 years? 2 years from now? Maybe next year, but I'm thinking more 2 years, because a trade that I'm thinking about that I haven't even worked up, I was just looking, is if the Bucks are a team that either Drew didn't work out, or if they're one guy that we've always talked about is like, eventually are they going to get to the point where they're like, well, fuck it, we got, like, Chris Midd's the problem here. And we've talked about them moving on from Chris Mid in the future.
Is the problem on this team, guys.
What?
Mr. 50-40-90 is the problem on this team, guys. Like, I get it. He's had some rough playoff goes, but he's not Eric Bledsoe bad. Like, there's a difference between Drew Holiday's defense out there and Eric Bledsoe's performances, and I have 100% confidence in Drew taking forward excellent performances. If we're talking Chris Mid versus what Bradley Beal could add to this team, I'm probably still leaning with Chris Mid, because Chris Mid at least has shown he will play defense. Bradley Beal doesn't give a shit about that side of the ball for 2 years now. I'm not saying he can't turn it on, but at some point he will be tested and we'll have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Chris Mid, he is the Celtic destroyer on the upside. It's always someone good on your team to have when you got to go up against Celtics in the playoffs every year. Someone who averages just phenomenal numbers against them. I would love to see a team like, oh no, here we go. The Raptors.
Oh no.
I would love to see the team like the Raptors.
Okay.
Take another swing at a star. They got Kawhi. It worked out great. Yes, they traded DeMar DeRozan. So sad. But I would love to see them try to go out and get Bradley Beal. I think he's someone who, again, Pascal Siakam's on the uprising. They really need a center, but I don't even give a shit about that. They got Boucher out there doing great. I want to just keep calling him Rick Bucher like we were doing in the watch along.
Rick Bucher
out there putting up phenomenal numbers, but he won't get to start at center for some god awful reason.
Question is, what are you giving up then if you're
probably OG, Norm Powell, couple firsts, and by a couple I mean 3 firsts, and pick swaps.
Yeah, so with Norm Powell and OG, they would still have to add about $10.2 million to the deal.
What's in the fucking contract books? What we got to work with here? Let's get
so Lowry's the big one because if you don't do it this year, Lowry may be gone. We're also going to talk about him later. Pascal Siakam, I don't think is in the deal.
No,
Fred VanVleet dad mode is not in the deal.
Can't move on from dad mode.
After that, your next biggest contract is the Bane train at $7 million next year.
Yeah, he's worthless. He's not even. He got bent. You might have to give up another first-round pick on top of Bradley Beal's value just to move Aaron Baines, though.
So, it looks like the return that you'd be looking at to get a Bradley Beal to make the contracts work is a Norm Powell, a Aaron Baines on the last year of his deal, OG and a newbie, who again he fits into right now. He'd be a poison pill, but next year it would just be the first year of his extension because he just got that. Remember, and then the Stanimal if he accepts his player option, or no, he had that before this year because I forgot. Even then, that's recently signed, so that would not be a problem. Yeah, that would work.
Cool.
That would totally work. Those 4.
So those 3 guys plus 3 firsts and 3 pick swaps, unrestricted, would do it for Beal. You're not getting someone who is a superstar in OG and newbie, which is up to question. So it might be 4. Actually, it might be 4 and 3. Might be 4 first-round picks, 3 pick swaps. What do you think about that, Ricky? How do you think value-wise? I'm struggling here because I love OG, and I don't want to overrate him because of my love, so maybe I'm swinging too far the other way.
I think OG's the best thing you're getting in here.
Norm Powell's a good player, but he's a good player.
The only thing fit-wise, I feel like for this Wizards team then at that point is, and yet again, timeline. See it however you want. And more players at the wing position is never a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
But then it's like you have basically at the 3 and 4, here are the players you have. OG. Bertrands is still on this team, so he's probably at the 4. Rui Hachimura. Denny Avdia, who's a wing. It's like this may not be a problem just because of the word you love to use, Dave, the R word, rotations. And if you had a coach that actually knew how to use them, maybe it works out.
You can use Rui as a small ball 5. Obviously, this year it doesn't even fucking matter because you lost Thomas Bryant for the year. So whatever at that point. But I do think that having OG, someone who can cover the 2, he can play the 3, he can play the 4, he can defend 5s. He's fucking versatile as all get out. So I think that adding someone with his amazing defensive prowess and his ability to grow on the offensive end, I would love that. Norm Powell, instant plug and play at the 2 for them right at the gates. I think that could work out. I think it really could. And I think it makes, I guess that's the other question. Does it make the Raptors a contender for the playoffs?
I think it makes them better, but
Lowry, VanVleet, Beal, C-Scam, Crispy.
I think here's the question you got to ask yourself, and this is the same thing that goes with the Bucks: is Bradley Beal going to give the same thing to a team that Kawhi Leonard gave to the Raptors? Where, like with the Bucks, the thing I was gonna throw in with them, and I know Eric said in Twitch chat, oh, they have Holiday, Giannis, and Middleton. Well, if this trade was being done next year, Middleton would be going to Washington in that deal in my mind, and then it would be Holiday, Giannis, and Beal, who are your three there. The question though is Bradley Beal going to give you in the playoffs the same thing or similar to what Kawhi gave the Raptors, where like the Bucks are a team, all they do is in the playoffs. Would Bradley Beal be the guy that's like, okay, closing time, fucking close it down. We're giving the ball to Bradley Beal if we can't give it to Giannis. And for the Raptors, would he be that? Could he be that closer guy for them? Because I feel like in a playoff series, Fred can get his if he goes dad mode. C-Scam, if he looks like the way he's been playing lately and not how he was to start the season or in the playoffs last year, can get his.
I trust Lowry. I trust Dad. Actually, I trust Dad. I trust Lowry in that order. Then I trust Chris B. Then
that's the thing, is Lowry on this team still?
Yeah.
Because
this year,
but if this is next year, is what I'm saying.
I don't fucking care about next year, man. You're fucking hypothetically out of my hypothetical range.
Okay. I thought we were working this trade for next year because, like, in my mind, I don't think the Wizards trade him this year.
Right now, why not? Fuck, pull the trigger on the shit.
Okay. The other thing I realized is the Warriors would have to, or not the Warriors, the Wizards would have to add someone like, I'm gonna fuck up his name, Pasekniks. Is that how you say it?
It's not even close, but that's wonderful.
Yeah. Either him or NATO to the deal to make the contract work.
Raul.
What?
Raul. It's his first name.
Raul. Isn't it Raul?
No, it's not.
Raul NATO. But yeah, they would have to add one of them to the deal to make it work. Yeah, Jake knows how to say it. But the next guy we'll look at, All-Star, Kyle Lowry. Does he get moved this year because Dave has it right. Does he get moved this year because the one thing we've always talked about with good old Kyle Lowry is that he's a free agent next year and he could be on his way out of Tampa Bay.
The thick booty. That's
booty.
what we've always talked about with Kyle Lowry.
The thick booty. He got that cake. He got that cake. He eats for days. I know Bulls fans are like, it's either Lonzo Ball or Kyle Lowry that Bulls fans want.
Hardcore targeting either one of those. We're like, please God, send us a point guard.
Do you think a team takes a stab at Kyle Lowry?
I think teams are asking. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Raptors are moving on from him.
Yeah, I don't.
I think he's one of those guys who's gonna get a I hate using the term because he's not that old, but a Kobe-esque contract at the end of his, at the end of this year. It'll be the
because he's 34.
We appreciate what you've done. You are a Raptor Hall of Famer. You're a lifer up here. We'd love to have you here until you actually decide to wrap it up, and that's rare. But Kyle Lowry is also like a very high character guy. He loves the city. He loves the people. He loves the fans. So I could see him sticking around in Toronto on like a 3-year deal for like a downscaling, like maybe a 2019-18 or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But it does feel like my heart tells me he should stay, but the businessman in me is like, you should sell this motherfucker while he still has value.
I mean, that's really the question. Like the Raptors, it's going to play into, number one, how the rest of their season goes. Because right now, record-wise, I think they're still...
They're on the upcline, Ricky.
They're on the upcline, but it's just one of those where it's like, how is it going to pan out? Because right now, they're still 2-8. This season is... we've talked about already how this season's going to be the weirdest season in NBA history. Because of the COVID cases and how close everyone is. Let's take a little gander here. That basically, Dave, they are 2-8. They've played 10 games. The last team in the playoffs right now in the East is 6-6.
Yeah,
that's the 4 wins gets them into the playoffs. Really,
100%.
2 losses too, because they have only 2 more losses but 4 less wins. Also, Charlotte's played 2 more games. But
I was gonna say there's 2 games or 3 games not happening today, right?
Yeah, and one got I think the Suns Pistons this weekend. I think it was on Saturday.
Yeah, they continually will push games out because it won't happen. So There'll be a pause.
Yeah, like the Celtics, I guess, are coming back on Friday. We don't even know for sure, but that's the thing. How's the rest of the season going to go for the Raptors? Are they going to get to a point where they're like, well, we either go for the playoffs and get an 8 seed, which I think they will do.
I think they can climb higher than 8. I think if we're playing, and I know this is not today's episode, but if we're playing Oakley or Folkley with playoff pictures as of today, January 14th at 6:17 p.m. Central Time, no one believes the Orlando Magic are going to be in the playoffs come the end of the year, right?
Well, it depends. Do they trade? I'll throw this name out there because he's on our list. Do they trade Aaron Gordon this year?
Doesn't fucking matter.
I think with Aaron Gordon and this team, I think they can still make the playoffs as the 8 seed. I think they could even make the play-in tournament, which anything can happen in the play-in tournament, Dave.
I will give you maybe play-in tournament, but I will give you more likely they will be out of it all because they don't have a point guard. Don't come at me with Cole Anthony and his fucking 12% shooting percentages. Can't fucking hit a shot, so I'm not worried about it.
But he's an assister, Dave. He's an assister.
He's not, though. He's genuinely not. He is not a floor general. He's not someone who so I think Orlando's Folkley. I think that the Hornets, as much as I fucking love them, are gonna probably fall a little, just a tiny bit step back. Atlanta has looked like bad, and Trae Young obviously has problems with the front of that coaching head tree right there. Little issue there, so we'll have to see what happens. I think they fall out. So I think there's 3 spots open effectively in the playoffs. I think we'll see as the season goes on. The Heat will climb, the Raptors will climb, and perhaps, dare I say, the Knicks.
You were going to do it. I knew you were going to do it.
When you're playing your 2 best players 40 minutes a night, you're going to win for regular season games. You know what else is going to happen? You're going to blow out some fucking knees.
You know what I fucking like? You know what blows my mind with New York fans? I want to hit New York fans with did you even watch the 2000s Bulls? The late 2000s Bulls? Because they're like, wow, we're so good defensively. It's like, no shit, you hired Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, I'm smiling, drinking, enjoying myself watching and going, I can't wait for the after effects of Tom Thibodeau's season to happen to you. What happens when reality comes crashing in and all of your young talent is broken? Yeah,
like Nick's Josh. I don't even know if Nick's Josh is on that side. Nick's Josh can't even believe that you said that, Dave, that the Knicks are going to be possibly a playoff team.
Again, when you play your best players 40 minutes a night, no one else is even playing like top players like 35. Yeah. So I'm sorry, that's extra wear and tear. Julius Randle, not used to it. RJ Barrett, not used to it. We will see what happens. That one's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think there are 3 teams here who are probably out of the picture. I think the Raptors are very much in that picture. I think the Kyle Lowry conversation, if we're talking about another player who's tied to the Raptors who could decide Kyle Lowry's fate indirectly, we're looking at a center. We're looking at a tall boy coming down to Tampa Bay.
Is it the guy that I'm thinking of, Andre Drummond?
Yeah, it could be Andre Drummond.
Like, he's the one out of this entire... Because, honestly, the list here that we have of all-stars, or all-stars because they've made one in their career, it's Lowry, Drummond, and DeRozan. Out of all 3 of those, I think Drummond's the most obvious to be traded this year.
Drummond fits their need. And again, you may not love Andre Drummond, but, he can play good basketball, and I think that he would be a massive help for them. He again, people want to shit on his effort levels at times. That's fine. You can do that. But he can block the fucking ball. He is a big, tall, strong boy who will rebound the living shit out of the ball. You guys will get more possessions. You'll get more touches. You'll get more turnovers. Embiid can score 40. That's great. In the 2 games he plays, Jake, because he will be hurt the rest of the series, so it doesn't even fucking matter. Why am I shitting on everybody today?
Because you are.
Weird. Either
weird.
Okay, watch. But yeah, just being realistic here, Jake. I think that Drummond's he's the obvious pickup. Obviously, it's how do you deal with that contract. I don't know if it's even possible for them to deal with that contract without a massive trade exception coming their way. So I don't know. I assume, Rick, you're doing a little digging now.
I'm doing one.
So yeah,
how many picks do you think a team could get Drummond for? How many picks would they have to give up if they're not giving up a star at all? They're giving up one player And it's not a star. It's like a 29-year-old.
One
first-round pick this year?
Yeah. I wouldn't give up this year. I would give a future one.
Okay, fine. Yet again, I think this trade you are going to say no to. I am well prepared for that. But
Sure. Yeah.
let's see if Cleveland does it. Like, here's the thing. I'm looking at a team for Drummond, a team that's like, okay, our two bigs are playing okay right now. But if we added a guy like Drummond to this team, maybe it's a team that's fighting for an 8th seed in the Western Conference. The Kangs, Dave. What would you
Why do you have a hate boner for Rashawn Holmes?
What?
Why do you have a hate boner for Rashawn Holmes?
Really, it's a hate boner for Marvin Bagley, but
he's a 4.
I know he's a 4, but it just adds to those rotations, Dave. Maybe you move Holmes over to the 4, Dave. You take Bagley out. Basically, Corey Joseph in a first. I don't even think that gets done, but that would work. Like it. Basically, then that shows us that it only takes, depending on your team's cap, $12 million can get this done, because that's what Corey Joseph is, 12.6.
So Bainesy, some other piece for the Raptors could make it happen then.
Here, let's see. I'll put it in.
Because that's what I'm saying.
Raptors.
Like, if the Raptors want to go all in, quote unquote, and try to compete this season, they could look to add Drummond. Baines is worth nothing. Drummond's worth nothing. Remember, they got Drummond for 2 2s. So they would be happy to flip 2 2s into a late first rounder. And I gotta quit reading chat while I'm trying to talk. So yeah, I think Cleveland would be thrilled to flip Drummond for a first rounder at this point.
They would still have to give up for the Raptors because of their cap situation.
Stanley Johnson.
They would still have to give up $19.9 million.
Okay, so that was not. So when you said $12 million.
Yeah, that's the Kings. I didn't realize have way more cap space.
Yeah. Okay. And it's unlikely that Drummond will find his way over to the Raptors.
Like with Stanley Johnson, you'd still need $15 million, which means you're giving up way too many pieces then.
Can't do it, won't do it. That's right. We'll move on. Andre Drummond, great contract for him. He got his bag. Unfortunately, the teams who can get him at this point, I don't know who wants to have him.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
He's not likely to resign. The Cavs already decided they're not going to waste their time with that. Yeah. So they went and got Jared Allen. They're going to pay that man money, and he fits up way better with their core timeline. So
it's kind of like I told Cleveland last year, trade him, like last trade deadline, trade him now so you can get something for him, and then they didn't. They sat on their hands.
No one wants him, Ricky.
That's I feel like more teams wanted him the last time we talked about him.
What's up?
I felt like more teams wanted him last year. Like it was easier last year than this year.
For 2 2s. Like pick 54 and 39 or something.
You're not wrong.
Like no one wants him. Don't act like he has a value around the league. He's a big expiring contract. That is what's sexier to teams than having to pay him for 2 seasons.
Yes, and all I'm thinking is like a playoff team that needs a big that can grab boards. And
a couple blocks.
A couple blocks. And he's expiring, like you said.
The expiring $20-something million is definitely all the worth he has at this point. Yeah. But that's a shame. It really is, because the NBA hates 5s unless you're special.
Does Aaron Gordon get moved? We'll just jump right into top starters. Aaron Gordon has 2 years left.
I've been loving the Aaron Gordon trade talk, but we haven't seen enough out of my boy.
No.
No.
KK Okume or Che. No. Fuck.
Chumo
what's his name? Chumo KK. I have the name on my tongue.
Haven't seen enough out of Chuma to move on from Aaron Gordon yet. I know long-term plan. The plan is definitely Chuma and I can't remember anyone's name. My favorite long boy on the fucking Magic who's out with an ACL injury.
Oh, Jonathan Isaac.
Jonathan Isaac. Yep. Thank you.
J.I.
I think that's the future plans. The problem is both those guys, like one's out with an injury. Chuma's obviously not shown he can handle a full-time role. So I think you got to keep Aaron Gordon around a little bit longer. But if your team starts to lose games by the time the trade deadline comes up, I think he will be the hottest name on the trade deadline market because this is a Magic team, like I said, who has no point guard this season because Markelle Fultz is out. So they would be thrilled to move on from a piece like Gordon, who has another year of contract control next year, high-level contributor, good bouncy 4, has range, can defend multiple positions. I think there are suitors out there for him.
The only person this year that I see, and I didn't put him on, I did put him on the list, then I replaced him with Aaron Gordon because Aaron Gordon's a bigger name. But if the Magic, I feel, are going to trade anyone this year, and they probably should, to a playoff team that might need him, Evan, don't Google my name 48. Like that's the guy they trade this year. I don't know what they get for him. Maybe it's something where they get just anything they can. Because anything's better than nothing. He's expiring at the end of the year. So, like, if you need a shooter, if a team in the playoffs needs a shooter from the outside, yet again, he's the Drummond thing of $17.7 million is what you got to come up with.
I could see him going to a bad team for a long-term contract. Like, that's a situation where you're flipping contracts and you're paying them to get expiring. Because his shot has not been falling to start this year. And again, small size, but he's not the same shooter he was last year, where he was shooting efficiently from three. So there are little concerns there, but I could see a team maybe looking to get him to get out from. Just fuck it. Every topic is going to come back to the Denver Nuggets because
they gotta make a move, Dave.
Denver Nuggets have a long-term deal they'd love to get out from, so they could go there. The Kings could, I think the Kings are an interesting one because they're always on the edge. Memphis is always something that I am looking at on the outside, though.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what would happen if they added some. Let me be honest, I don't like Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks not my favorite guy. He's not a winning basketball player. And this year, obviously, we're waiting to see John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Justice Winslow all return from injuries. So it'll be a hot minute, but I'm not saying necessarily for Fournier, but I think they are looking to add to that team. Maybe Gordon would be an interesting pickup there. Long term, that could be kind of hype. You could move a Dylan Brooks for Aaron Gordon, kind of a deal. That might be a win-win deal. How do you like that one?
I thought about the Grizzlies for the next guy I was going to bring up, but the thing with the Grizzlies is I don't really know, because Ja is hurt this year.
Well, he's only hurt for a little bit.
He's only hurt for a little bit, so we're going to have to wait. He should be coming back soon, end of January, early February. But, we got to see what it's like when he comes back and where this team is because of the time
Gordon's
that
under
he's
contract
missed.
next year.
He is. The thing I was going to kind of throw out there is, and maybe the Grizzlies, you hate this more than Aaron Gordon, because I was trying to think, one of the guys you were like, oh, do we add him to the list? He falls in the same area as Aaron Gordon, 2 years left on his deal. Some people think we should trade him this year, and they're fucking
He's back tomorrow?
What do you mean?
John Morant is back tomorrow, LOL.
Is he? Shit, that he came back earlier than we all thought. He came back at the earliest of the timeline then, if he's back tomorrow.
He's
listed as questionable.
Wonderful
we'll see.
Wonderful
but if he does play tomorrow, he's back the earliest situation we thought it was, because, Dave, we're entering the middle of January is where we're at right now. But Zach LaVine, he's one that I don't think the Bulls trade. I will say that now. But does Memphis try to make a trade to pair him up with Ja, because Ja's actual point guard, unlike Kobe
imagine?
White. Yeah, Dave. I could imagine, because that's what I wanted in Chicago. That's what I wanted here, Dave. Ooh, I blew up my mic a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. I just get a little emotional. That the shirt was perfect. Ja Bulls, Dave.
It's like an all-star game dunk show every night.
I apologize to all the ears that I just blew out there with my microphone. Your blood is on my hands. But that is a team, Dave. If I am the Bulls, I am definitely listening to, because I would love to see Zach LaVine. If Zach LaVine's getting traded, I would love to see him with the Mavericks. But the Mavericks don't have any first, Dave, so you're out of the fucking conversation. If I ain't getting any first-round picks, you're out of the conversation. However, the one thing the Grizzlies do have is some young talent that I would fucking love on this Bulls team to grow a future around.
What do you think about? If you had to put together a trade for Zach LaVine,
I'll do it.
Jalen Brooks would be in that deal because of contracts, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah. So with Zach LaVine, you would have to come up with his full contract, $19.4 million. The first question. So here's the thing with Jalen, though.
Yeah.
Is he's under contract for 3 years. Is he someone that, like, what's the timeline of the Bulls? Like, are the Bulls, because I don't think Jalen Brooks, who would then go back to Dylan Brooks because he would no longer be on the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, it turns into, can I get like I don't know if I could. Like, can I get a Brandon Clark? Could I get a Desmond Bane? Like, I'm looking at those young guys of like, who could I get a, fuck it. You know what?
Just get a fucking point guard.
Just get a fucking point guard.
What if he could?
I mean, John Morant for Zach LaVine, straight up. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's the thing. The only other point guard they have on their team is Tyus Jones. Do you want Tyus Jones?
You can't have a team without 2 point guards, so we'd need like Sato back, and that makes it even bigger contract.
Yeah. So this works contractually. I don't know what picks, if you add picks to this, Dave. Jalen Brooks, who would then go back to Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, and Desmond Bane.
How many picks?
However, how many do you think would be added? I didn't know how to.
Picks.
Yeah.
And Desmond Bane and fucking. I don't know about that. Yeah, I think that's
way too much to give up.
I think you can have one or the other, and then you can have a first round pick.
Which one would you want, Clark or Bane?
If I'm a Bulls fan or if I'm a Grizzlies fan?
I want your Bulls fan take.
Bulls fan take, I would take. It's tough. Bane would be good because I think upside.
Brandon Clark. That's
very good.
That's what I'm thinking.
But Jane and Jark on the Bulls would be so good. I just don't know if he gets the playing time because of Lowry Markkanen still being a bum ass on the Jazz team.
But if let's say we do Brooks. If we do Brooks, Clark, and then this year's first, which is Utah's pick, then that would mean if we don't want to sign Lowry, we don't have to. We can flip Lowry then. Because then Brandon Clark will be the 4 of the future.
You have my interest.
Because then we can take Lowry Markkanen and flip him to, like, that's the next thing is if you're flipping then Zach to the Grizzlies and getting Brooks, Clark, and a first, where are you trading Lowry Markkanen? What team would want then Lowry? Because I think that happens because you get Brandon Clark. No, he would be Desmond Jane. That's right. He's going back to the Grizzlies. I forgot. So Dylan Brooks and Brandon Clark, they lose their J's because they're no longer on the Grizzlies.
It's true. But then we get Jack
Javine. Jack Javine, baby.
I think it's a fun hypothetical to explore, and I do agree that does lead to a turning point of like talent. And I think we would look directly at the Pelicans, and we're like, "You got Alonzo, we got a 4 who can face the floor."
Dave, you brought him up. We'll just bring him in right here. Does Lonzo get traded this year, or does he hit free agency? Because he's on our list.
It's free agency. I don't think they pull the trigger because this team is struggling right now. They are stuck in the middle. They're still they've been missing out on talent. But B, I think they don't quite have their core figured out. I think they know it's Zion. I think they know it is BI because BI is the best player on the team. I don't think that Lonzo is a true point guard on this team, and it doesn't seem like he's thrived.
Yeah.
With their new system. So I would look to see them getting someone else back there. I think Bledsoe, as much hate as you want to give him, has been doing okay. I don't really have any issues with Eric Bledsoe on this team right now. I know he's not the guy for the future and the timeline doesn't match, but like I think he can hold out until Kyra is ready to take over. So I think you look at Alonzo as a guy who's the odd man out. I don't think they trade him though. I think they look to do a sign-in trade in the offseason, or they just let him walk outright, which would be a shame for the second overall pick. I think sign-in trade is the right answer. But again, it depends where they're at. Come trade deadline, people get desperate. You could see a move happen.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see like what team would need a point guard. Like I'm thinking like yet again playoff team like Chicago. Yeah, but it's like what do you give it? No. That's what I'm saying. Like Chicago,
not a
but
playoff starting point guard.
Good point. Maybe that's my Lonzo.
He actually plays like the 2 in their offense at times. Like he's not their lead point guard. It's a very interesting. Like I don't want to hit you with it if you watch, but like when I watch them, I see him
Better
as
way
an
to put it,
off-ball
Dave.
guard.
When I watch them.
I know you do because of Zion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an idiot, but like I do think that sometimes he looks like an off-ball guard, which it's not a bad thing. It's just he's not the same traditional point guard you want him to be, perhaps. The combination of Zoe and Kobe White could be interesting, though.
Jake says Zoe and Kobe would actually be sick, though.
I don't think about sick. I think interesting. I think Kobe is growing his passing game. He is trying to get better. He's working on it, and I'm excited for that. But I don't know if I think Lonzo would only help him. But again, that shakeup of our offense, losing Zach LaVine, transforming that into Jaden Jark, Brandon Clark, and Dylan Brooks out there, like they're. I don't know if we're better today or tomorrow, but the additional pick plus whatever.
What are we giving up in that deal, though? Like, what are the Pelicans looking for from the Bulls? Is it
Lowry? Yeah.
Let me see then with contract.
It's one disappointment for another.
One disappointment for another.
In our floor spaces, so you got that going for you. Like, it's the idea they're looking for the fucking golden goose who can pair with Zion Williamson. That is their ultimate goal. In the next 2 years, they need to find
no picks added. Is it just a straight up? Because straight up works, but we don't see that in the NBA.
What else what value wise do you think they're close?
I think they're. The thing is,
we might have to throw in a 2.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, who's got to throw the 2 in? The Pelicans or the Bulls?
We probably have to throw in the 2, unless Lowry keeps playing like a fucking monster when he gets back.
You know what? That actually is ironic, Dave, because you know what I would do if I'm the Bulls? We have the Pelicans' second round pick this year. So I'd be like, here, you can have your pick back.
It's kind of funny.
We've got a swap. We've got a swap with them. It says it's like, here, you can have your pick back. We'll just give you the fucking
swap. Then
it says via New Orleans swap Chicago outgoing is what it says.
Okay.
Basically, that was the thing I didn't know is who would have to give up the first, or not the first, the second round pick in that.
I think Lonzo has been more consistent than Lowry. It's very tough. Lowry. It's like a tongue twister for me.
Better than Kyle Lowry and Lowry marketing. That's gonna fucking be weird if that happens next year.
No, probably not. But we'll see. I think that's all the Pelicans' goal is to find their lineup to work with BI and Zion, and you need someone who can pair with Zion perfectly because BI can kind of morph into whatever you need him to be. Yeah, because he's such a good fucking player. So I think that's what we're waiting to find out.
Dave, we'll cut this to
drop any other names you want. Like I don't know, I'm good, man.
Because I'm looking. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna end the show with Wet Boys. We're going to talk Urban Meyer. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll do Football Friday tomorrow with the divisional games and shit. John Collins is the next one. I'm like, John Collins has to get moved, right? Because they did not give him an extension. Like, odds are, in my mind, odds in here, they're not going to give him an extension.
I don't know.
He's got to fucking get moved, right?
I don't know, because I think that we could see a situation where Lloyd Pierce is out and John Collins stays.
Then why didn't they give him the extension before the year? Is there like a money thing that they didn't want to tie him down because of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, the contract's obviously like, I don't know. I think that like Pierce Brown coach, motherfucking Jake, I gotta minimize this. I'm about to talk. I gotta minimize our Twitch channel. No, I think that there was a question mark of how much is he worth? Is he worth a max with the deficiencies he has? I think a lot of people go, duh, yes, he is a 20-10 guy when you use him in your offense. But clearly, when they choose to use him differently, I mean, I don't know if they're effectively tanking his value, but they do seem to be making him look bad at times this season. This Hawks team is disappointing. They went out and they paid for a bunch of guys in free agency, and we applaud them for it. But I did make the comparison to, is this literally the same thing the Kings did, where it was like, maybe it was just a year too early. Maybe you guys weren't quite ready for that big jump. And obviously Bogdanovic did not, that has not worked out well to start. We will see, though. Short start to the season. And Danilo, again, we will wait and see. Wait and see is the key. Rondo, I don't think has gotten to play a game yet. He's been out the whole start of the season. Chris Dunn, has he played yet either?
Chris Dunn, I don't believe has.
I think that out of their pickups, basically the majority of their pickups, the only guys we've gotten to see this year is Capella, Bogdan, and like a couple out of Gallo.
Because Rondo, I think you did mention this, but Rondo did,
Injured.
and then got hurt again.
Yeah.
Because it was either JD or I. I think I was going to pick him up in fantasy. JD ended up picking him up in fantasy, and he got hurt immediately.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, we haven't seen Rondo. Again, that group of guys they brought into.
Dunn has not played this year.
Okay. We will have to wait and see then. I mean, this is a team where I think that this is like a come to Jesus moment for this team. The whole season is just like, are we as good as we thought we were? Because if Trae Young and our head coach don't get along, then our head coach is going. If John Collins isn't a 20-10 monster unless he's gift wrapped the ball and our offense revolves around him, which causes us to lose out on possessions and be inefficient, then maybe he's not a max contract kind of guy for us. I think there's a lot of questions they have to answer, and we're going to see it track for a good chunk of the season because if they play like a 500 team with the guys they brought in, I think that does kind of show that like maybe they're not as good as we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were, Dave. We let them off the hook.
We let them off the hook, guys. So I think that's the problem. Is like this is a Hawks team where we all have very high expectations for them taking that next leap. But Trae Young, you know, when his offense is on, he's great. When his offense is less than excellent, he's a net negative.
Yeah.
He can't fucking play defense. We've known that, but we tolerate it because of his amazing shooting, his amazing facilitation. But now he's not doing he's not shooting well. He's not getting to the line 15 times a night because he's flopping, you know. It's just this team has some questions to answer. So I can't tell you if John Collins is the guy who is going to be out of town. I can tell you Lloyd Pierce likely is.
Yeah.
And I think that because the fingers are pointing at the coach, the player may get the pass and an extension.
So two things.
But who would want them? Well, if you have ideas, I would love to hear.
Two teams I'm thinking of, Dave.
Sure.
One of which I don't know happens because I don't know if the Hawks would want this guy, but I think it would be an interesting trade. You tell me if this deal gets done, how many picks would have to come from said team to the Hawks? A deal revolving around Marvin Bagley and Jemias Ramsey for John Collins.
I love that deal.
Kings get a 4.
I mean,
the Hawks get a 4 that they have at least one more year of control over because Bagley has his team option next year, and Jemias Ramsey from this draft, who you've got 3 years of $1 million. How many picks would the Kings have to give up? Would it be 3 for John Collins? Because John Collins is good.
There's no extension.
There is no extension. It would probably be either a sign and trade after the year. Or
I think they could do an agreement to an extension. Or I don't know what the rules are around that, but like a pre-agreement, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Like if they had that in place, probably John Collins is probably Bagley's a rehab project. You're getting one guaranteed. You might get a second first. It's a conditional that might break into 2-2s over time. It might be like a first round 2023, 15 protection, 14 protection, 13 protection, 2-2s.
So
you might see something like that.
So I think that's Bagley Ramsey this year's first rounder, and then 2023 with the special
conditionals. So it's tightly conditioned. So the expectation would be it's probably going to turn into 2-2s.
But
it gives them the hope that if we're a playoff team, then fuck it, you can have our pick. But I think that is a win-win because the Hawks get a rehab guy who doesn't need to get 30 minutes a night and the ball in his hands every possession because they can let Gallo go out there and space the floor. It lets other guys grow, and it lets Marvin Bagley get a fresh start on a team. Still has a great point guard who will still facilitate well. But now we get to see him, new coach, new style, new system. Can he thrive here? Or is he just a bad basketball player? Ramsey's someone who I just like as a player, so I'm always intrigued by that.
The next team, Dave, this is one that I'm going to have to ask you help in. What players would this team give up? Okay. Because this is a team with a lot of capital, picks, young players.
You say the Boston Celtics, I will tell you to go.
Nope. A team that we have praised their GM before. They have a ton of moving pieces. The OKC Thunder.
Yep.
Do they take a run at John Collins and be like, what do you want? We've got players, we've got picks, we've got everything. You just can't have our pick because it may be a high pick and we want Cade Cunningham.
Yeah. That's a good one. I wonder. The Thunder aren't trading their pick. Yeah, joke. Okay. I wonder if we're talking about guys off limits on the team. Shea's off limits. Dort's off limits.
Okay. Dort was one I was thinking about, but then I'm like, no way they trade Dort.
I think Dort's off limits.
What about Darius Bazley?
I think Bazley's good. I don't know if he's untouchable. I think that. What if let's return Al fucking Horford home? You know, like
$27 million.
Go ahead and have Horf Daddy. Likely it'll be like George Hill, Hamidou Diallo, who I fucking love. I don't know. They're not giving up Pokusevski.
No.
So maybe Teo Maledon, maybe Ty Jerome, Justin Jackson, all those guys are available. Josh Hall's available. I think the best player is probably George Hill, Hamidou, Teo Maledon. Like those are the kind of guys who would be available. Isaiah Roby even like.
Let's see here. How about?
I forgot they do have Trevor Ariza technically still on this team.
They do.
I always forget.
Is this too much for John Collins? George Hill, who's got 2 years left, so a year after this.
Yeah, great contract. Yep.
Hamidou has a year left. I think the team option was for this year, so he'd be expiring. And then Teo Maledon, obviously 3 years after this. He was drafted this last year. And then Miami's first-round pick. Because Miami's first-round pick will be a playoff pick. So it's like, you can have, like, we think. Do you honestly? I think that team picks it up. I know, because the only other team I can think of is a team you've mentioned. I hate to bring them up again. The Raptors.
The Denver Nuggets.
No, the Raptors. It's way easier for them to get fucking John Collins than Andre Drummond. But does he really fix what they need? And do they need a pure center and not a?
They need a defensive center.
Jake, bring him home to Boston.
They need a ball stopper at center. Someone who can shot block and do all the dirty work. You said Hill, Teo, and
Hamidou plus the Miami pick for John Collins with an extension. Obviously, it would be.
Yeah, with an extension, I would probably pull the trigger on that one. I think that's a good deal for both teams. John Collins gives them someone who can contribute 20 and 10 effectively, and I think that this Thunder team would use him well. And then Hamidou is a fucking kid on the uprising. Like he is a future stud. Maledon, we will see, but I think a lot of people like what he can do. He's already a good player. Can he become anything more than a bench point guard? Absolutely, I think he can be. George Hill, instant value. If you want to flip him same day for something, you could. You could look at a team
just
like the Celtics.
Pacers did with Karras, but not for.
You could look at a team like the Celtics and be like, would you like a genuine point guard who can shoot the ball? How about that? Would that be nice?
Yeah.
They could tease them. They could look to move him back to the West. Whatever you want to do, but he's got instant value going somewhere because the whole point of George Hill's contract is he's movable.
Yeah.
He's getting somewhere.
The only other team, like I said, Raptors, I don't think it's done. The Wizards, only because, like, yet again, and maybe I'm thinking off here, does John Collins help their defensive problem? Yes, right? No? Okay. That was my only thing of, like, does he help their defensive problem, or would that just create, like, a...
You got Penny playing the three. Where's your boy Rui going? Bench?
Well, that would be the thing. Who would have to be involved in the deal to get John Collins?
You moving Rui?
I wouldn't, but, like, the Wizards, like, would that even be a target the Wizards would want to go after? That's the thing. I think this is like the bottom of the barrel of the team. It leads
into their, let's just score 150 a night plan. If you're keeping Thomas Bryant at center going forward, let's just add John Collins right next to him and say, fuck it, all the offense. It could be dirty. It could be absolutely dirty. But like, no, I don't think that Washington is a team who's targeting John Collins. I know they're pretty happy with their wing right now in Rui and Denny. The rest of the guys just kind of wait and see game.
Yeah. The last four, Dave, are guys who are starters. They're bottom of the barrel. First one, Blake Griffin. He does have 2 years with a player option.
He goes nowhere. He's not proven dick this year.
Okay. Yeah.
Too much money to be moved.
Next year's the year I put the Blake watch going.
Next year, Blake watch. I thought he was gonna come out the gates firing. He did not. He's still slow.
Otto Porter Jr. Do the Bulls get a deal done, or does he walk away like Paul Gasol at the end of the year?
Extend him.
Why? How many games is he going to play? Like that. Here's my only thing about Otto Porter. Does he play well? Yes. If he's going to play the majority of the games, yes. But how many times do I have to be 5 games into the season? Well, his back is hurt again. Like, that's the only thing with Otto Porter. And yet again, that might be a reason why they don't get a deal done, because people are going to be like, yeah, it'd be great for me in the playoffs, but is he going to be there for me, or will he be sitting on the bench with a back injury?
He's a high-grade Nick Batum.
He is a high-grade Nick Batum with fucking lower back problems.
I would have thought that would be a thing coming into 2021.
Nick Batum
Otto Porter,
well.
high-class Nick Batum.
Yeah, Otto Porter, or not Otto Porter. Nick Batum playing well for the Clippers.
Guy who hasn't played basketball in 2 years.
Yeah.
Remember when he's not good enough to play basketball?
Just sitting there and fucking.
Now he's not a championship contender, playing legit minutes and looking great.
Tim Hardaway Jr. Yeah, no. Do the Mavs move on from him? Like, if there was a Zach LaVine deal or an Otto Porter deal for the Mavericks, that would be a perfect person to move to the Bulls, because he would be up at the end of the year. The only problem with the Mavericks is they don't have first round picks. So is that going to hurt their ability to make any deals? Yeah,
and as much as I hate to say this, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s played really well next to Luka.
Yeah.
So I think that he's a guy who they just look to retain on a lesser deal, hopefully going forward. I think right now he's getting paid a lot of money for what he is and what he's become on that roster. So I think he stays and resigns. Not the best player. They'd love to get an upgrade for him, but I just don't think there's one out there available that I'm aware of.
The last one, Dave, and yet again, I'm putting the caveat on. He would have to play. He played better in the last game against the Pacers, but he would have to be playing a lot better consistently if the prettiest man in basketball, Kelly Oubre Jr., picks up his play this year. Could he be someone the Warriors look at and go, you know what, with the Clay injury, we didn't expect to be in this situation. We may be just trying to stay out of the playoffs so that we keep our pick, and then it does not go to the Thunder. I got to look exactly where that protection is.
20, I believe?
I think they got to stay above 20.
No, below 20. They have to be below 20.
Is it below 20?
I think they keep their pick if it's 1 through 20, and 20 through 30 goes to the other team.
Okay. But is Kelly Oubre Jr. somebody that they can...
Yeah. That's one.
They do have the Minnesota pick, but like 2 picks in this... Oh, I'd rather have 2 picks in this class than 1 pick, because this draft we expect to be deeper. Is Kelly Oubre someone that can be moved? Because I think if he plays
$80 million man, Ricky. He's an $80 million man thanks to the luxury tax.
Yeah. I mean...
I'm sure they would love to move him.
You only got 1 year of him, though. He's done at the end of the year, right? That's what SpotRec says. SpotRec says he's a unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. Yeah.
What's your point?
I mean, would that be enticing to a team that might need a shooter from the outside, someone to add some scoring?
He's not a shooter from the outside. If he was a shooter from the outside, they wouldn't have a problem. They wouldn't be shipping him, Ricky. He hit 1 fucking 3 for the first 10 games.
I'm saying if he plays better, Dave, he's been able to shoot threes in the past. The beginning of the season's been a little bit off for him. Maybe the move to Golden State shook him up a little bit. He's used to playing in Phoenix.
You know how those Golden State rims are. They just notorious for hating shooters. Oh, wait, no. We've seen the 2 generational shooters playing at Golden State, Ricky. Come on.
But, Dave, the air's drier in Phoenix. The ball moves through it different. Physics, man. You got to be thinking about that. The ball moves through that drier air different than that wet air in San Francisco that I just completely made up right now because I am not a scientist. But yeah, I just threw that out there because, yet again, like an Otto Porter, does he get moved? Does he not get moved? Probably not.
Someone to trade Otto or Kelly Oubre to, they would do it.
Which they won't, probably.
He's not a long-term plan for them, I don't believe.
Dave, let's end the show with the dampest of dudes, the soggiest of shooters, the moistest of men, and sometimes the mistiest of misses. These are our Wet Boys. Players of the day from the day prior. We get 3 Wet Boys a day. Dave gives one, I give one, and then the patrons at patreon.com/MVP vids, silver and above, get to vote on a Wet Boy as well. We have 3 Wet Boys for today. Dave, we'll start with you. January 14th, 2020. Who's your Wet Boy?
My Wet Boy today is someone who pops off only in preseason usually. This is a guy who is a Summer League star, who's a preseason guy, and now, for the first time in the regular season, since his first game ever in the NBA, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Pop-off game, huge numbers. He became the dominant scorer out there for this Pelicans team, and it was immediately noticeable. First quarter of that game, it was like, oh, he's got the hot hand. Keep feeding him. That is the guy we want to run this team through right now. Again, he is a interesting shooting guard prospect, still very young, still could be great. I look at him as someone who is wildly inconsistent. So when he does good, I want to give him the credit for doing good.
Dave,
what?
Jake giving me good news. It's shake time, baby. Time to shake and bake. He needed 15. Now the Sixers just need to fucking get a win like I think they can. Thank you for the good news, Jake. But yeah, Nickeil, it's like this was a Wet Boy I knew you were going to give, Dave, because like when we were talking about him when he was like drafted, you and Sean were high on Naw, as I like to call him, N-A-W. But yeah, I was like, Dave's probably going to go with Nickeil as his Wet Boy.
Well, that's because I knew where one Wet Boy was going, and I thought I knew where the other one is, and we'll find out in a couple seconds here.
Yeah, I mean, my Wet Boy, I'm going away from the NBA, Dave. I'm going to the college ranks because there's a certain guy that for the last 3 years, 3 years ago I put him at the bottom of my draft board when he was with Georgetown. And now everyone ever since is like, where is this guy? Why isn't he in the first round? And then Dave every time is like, he's not a first round talent, you MF. Like, and Dave's got like
that was someone else, by the way. That comment was for someone else.
Oh, okay. I thought we were getting about this guy too, but Mac McClung hitting a game winner against Texas. Number 4 goes down, Dave. Texas maybe falling to the 2 line now in bracketology. They were on the 1 line with Gonzaga. Now they are falling to the 2 line potentially, all because of this man right here, McClung, hitting the shot to win the game against the number 4 Longhorns with Shaka Smart. Looked like Shaka got Shakta in this one. See what I did there, Dave? I tried to do it.
The problem is McClung, much like the previously mentioned Nickeil Alexander-Walker, good game, horrible game.
Yeah.
Okay? Horrible game. Consistency, not great. Athleticism, very good. Height, not so great. So long-term prospects, because of his shooting inconsistencies, not great. Enjoy college while you can.
Dave, before we get into the Patreon, boy, I have a fun fact I wanted to give you on this show.
Oh, fun fact!
Because
I love fun facts.
As some of you may know, Ricky getting into the sports gambling a little bit, sports betting on FanDuel. Thank you to Pat McAfee. And I was looking at some college lines today. Well, retro, but like I wouldn't have done FanDuel without fucking listening to Pat McAfee all the time. Retro was the one that got me into it, but without listening to Pat McAfee,
started.
Yeah, like without Pat McAfee and how much I listened to that show, I probably would have been where Brandon is on DraftKings. But instead, I'm on FanDuel.
We're not
interesting line. Yeah, we're not sponsored, by the way.
Stuck in their feet. Not sponsored.
But Pepperdine Gonzaga today, number 1 team in the country. The over-under, Dave, is 26.5. Would you take Pepperdine plus 26.5 against Gonzaga today?
No.
Dave's like, no, not a chance.
Stone cold no.
Do you want to know the line for Gonzaga if you pick them?
How much money do you lose by picking Gonzaga?
Minus 50,000 in this game. Yeah, that means what? If I'm doing this right, Jake, $50,000 to get $1 back. If I'm doing odds right, that's one that I'm like I gotta ask Dave about on the show because it's I've never seen that of a negative 50,000. But patrons, Dave, they're going NBA. They're going Dame Lillard. Had himself yet again. It's like, who's going to have the game for the Trailblazers in this one? Is it going to be CJ? Is it going to be Dame? Is it going to be both of them? Well, today it was Dame. 40 points, 13 boards.
CJ had a good game too, though.
I mean, 13 assists. That's the thing. It's either both of them one of them, like one becomes the facilitator to the other. They each get their points, or like one is, like I said, takes a step back and goes, dude, tonight's your night, not mine.
Exactly. It must be nice. It must be nice. Hella credit to Dame. Just a really well balanced game out there. They were able to fend off Tyrese Halliburton and the Kings. Halliburton, great game though. Mm-hmm. That man, so fucking good at basketball. Really wish that we had drafted him.
Rookie of the year?
Probably second to LaMelo Ball by name recognition alone.
Okay. Like that's
is
the
he
thing
a better
where...
player? Yes. Is he going to win the award? No, because LaMelo Ball.
Could he be the one to, like, that's the thing. Could he be the one to topple LaMelo Ball? Like LaMelo Ball, really great. Like he's rebounding.
He's the best player out of this class.
Yeah, long term. But I'm talking about this year. Like he scores well off the bench for the Hornets. He grabs boards. He can assist. Like he's everything I thought he could be. I don't want to say more. Oh, and Jake says him besides Maxey. Yes, because Tyrese Maxey. I almost call him Tyler. Tyrese Maxey might also have something to say about that as well. But Dave.
No, he doesn't.
That is going to do it for MVP Sports Live. Another great show in the books. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about the Super Divisional Round. I think they're just calling it the Divisional Round. We got 4 games tomorrow.
Jaguars signing their new head coach of the future,
Urban Meyer. Like that was one that I was coming in with, Dave, of like, yeah, they're going to get it done. We're just going to talk about it as a done deal. And it got done right before we started the show. We'll talk about that tomorrow, part of Football Friday. Again, join the Discord if you haven't already. Link down below. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is how you can do that. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/MVPvids. We're on YouTube, MVP Sports. Want to thank you guys for watching and listening. Dave and I will be back tomorrow for more sports content for you guys. But as always, have a good day, everybody.